Vandergrift, Indiana takes over.
But neither offense has really been settled down at all in this first half. Been a lot of back and forth, a lot of up-tempo.
Haven't seen any points in the last 3 minutes. Holmes on the inside, reverse layup, you can count it. To the outside, three-pointer from Collier, no good. Bargesser comes down with it. Holmes calling for it. They'll give it to Scalia, drops it off, once again with the left hand.
That spin move had a little English on it there from Holmes. She just needs a little bit of space. Lipscomb's double-teamed her for a lot of this first half, but Holmes finds some daylight. And now you can start to breathe a little bit easier if you're an Indiana fan.
McGowan to the inside, rejected by Bargesser. That one sent back, Holmes fights for it on the ground, and Indiana takes over with the possession arrow headed their way.
Given some of the quick whistles we've seen, I'm honestly surprised Bargesser was not called for a foul there. It's like a very physical play. We've seen a lot of those early on. Indiana's on a 12-2 run over the last 6.5 minutes. Lipscomb from the field, just one of their last 9. They haven't scored in over 4 minutes of game time.
Bargesser outside for Scalia. Yes. Scalia continues this hot streak from downtown. Now Indiana continuing to extend this lead. Poked away, Scalia the other way. Wide open breakaway layup. It's good, and one. Look at the finish by Scalia.
The chase down from her, just a little bit overeager, and the last thing you want to give up when you're trailing by nearly 20 points is an and one, and that's exactly what is headed Sarah Scalia's way. Scalia with a chance at a three-point play would punctuate the latter part of this second half, or the second quarter, I should say.
A three-pointer and then a three-point play the old-fashioned way. Indiana now. And we welcome you back into Memorial Stadium. A tight ball game thus far, as Jalen Lucas will let this kickoff sail into the end zone for a touchback. It's been a high-scoring ball game, Ben. 27-19, 3 minutes to go in the first half. It's felt like it's been trading blows all day long between these two teams.
And it's weird because I don't really know where momentum is half the time in this game, and really the only answer is maybe the momentum's with the offense. And you just had that one simple mistake by Paddock that's really been a difference in why Indiana has that 8-point lead at this point in the game.
Sorsby and company will take over at the 25. Indiana, 233 all-purpose yards today, 158 of those coming through the air. Sorsby takes the snap, handoff to Henderson, but immediately wrapped up at the line of scrimmage. It was Keith Randolph, one of the two members of the law firm here for the Fighting Illini. And if you look at the flip side of things, Ben, 296 yards on the day for Illinois, 244 of those coming through the air.
A lot of breakdowns of the secondary for Indiana.
Not bad for a backup quarterback.
No.
Spread formation for Indiana. They'll bring a tight end in motion across to the near side of the field. Indiana on the far hash. Sorsby goes play action. He'll look far sideline. McCulley couldn't come up with it this time, but a flag flies. That's going to be 15 for Indiana. And he looks like he came down a little shaken up after that one. Slow to get up off the turf.
That's the right call. He really got pulled down on that play. Seemed like it was a tackle before he even had a chance to catch the ball.
Taz Nicholson, the man charged with the penalty. And that can really help out an Indiana offense that's just trying to make their way into field goal range with 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Now on their own 40-yard line. Josh Henderson in the backfield for Indiana. They'll bring Lucas there as well. Play action to Henderson. Sorsby in trouble, trying to get rid of it. And he'll be taken down, wrapped up in the backfield. It's Newton, the second member of the law firm, that comes in and brings them down. A huge loss for Indiana.
You just knew eventually Johnny Newton was going to find a way to put his fingerprints on this game, and that is a big sack.
21 yards to be exact. Sorsby had Henderson blocking in the backfield, was looking to just drop it off to him to avoid the sack and avoid a potential intentional grounding call. But this time, now 2nd and a mile with 2:18 to go. Ball in your own 29-yard line. Tom Allen and company will call a timeout and think things over.
Yeah, I don't expect Indiana to really do much on this drive right now at this point. Sorsby, if you're Sorsby, you can't take that many yards. You have to go down at first. I understand with so many different guys in the secondary and so many offensive linemen breaking down.
Football, basketball, soccer, we have it all. Joe Brennan joins us with sports this week. Joe, it seems like everybody's playing.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. It is a great time to be a Hoosier fan no matter what sport you cheer for. Let's get right into it, kicking things off with football. This past Saturday, the Hoosiers faced off against the Wisconsin Badgers, still hunting for their first Big Ten win of the season. Indiana started on a high note with quarterback Brennan Sorsby putting 6 on the board in the opening drive. Then Wisconsin's offense struggled to respond without their star running back, Braylon Allen. In a game that came down to the last possession, Indiana was able to escape with a 20-14 victory and claim their first conference win of the season. Speaking of first wins, the Indiana men's basketball team officially got underway with their regular season this past Tuesday against Florida Gulf Coast in Assembly Hall. Indiana came into this one a big favorite, but the Eagles were able to keep this one close. Florida Gulf Coast was red hot beyond the arc, cashing in 13 threes on the night. But at the end of the evening, IU's size was just too much for them to handle. Indiana finished with 4 players in double figures and a 69-63 victory. But it was the defensive struggles that stood out to Mike Woodson after the game.
From a defensive standpoint, we hold them to 63 points, and that's kind of in the ballpark where we want to be from a defensive standpoint. But it was all the miscues on the backside of our defense that we just weren't executing. And I gotta get that fixed and clean it up.
Indiana's next game will be against Army West Point this Sunday. Now, while the men have got their season started, the women's season tips off tonight, taking on Eastern Illinois. The Hoosiers come into the season ranked 9th nationally. The team returns 4 of last year's starters, including Mackenzie Holmes, who was just named AP Player of the Year watch list. Terry Moore and company will look to make the NCAA tournament for the 4th consecutive season. And IU basketball has found a way to honor the late Bob Knight all season long. It's a uniform patch. If you didn't catch it in the men's game or in the football game, you can look out for it tonight in the women's game. A new decal and patch has been added to the Indiana football and basketball uniforms. The patch has Knight's initials, RMK, along with 3 stars to signify the 3 championships as head coach. Now, let's pivot to the pitch. After taking down Wisconsin in the first round of the Big Ten tournament, Indiana had a date with the Michigan Wolverines in the Big Ten semifinal. If you like high-scoring soccer, this was the game to watch. A total of 7 goals at Bill Armstrong Stadium last night. Indiana at halftime led 3-1, but Michigan slowly clawed their way back into it. It was up to a Gumbale late-game heroic goal in the 86th minute to cement the Hoosier victory, recording his 2nd of the game as well. Indiana will play for their 16th Big Ten Tournament Championship on Sunday in Bloomington against Penn State. The success on the pitch is shared between both the men's and women's team because the women's soccer team is in the NCAA tournament. IU will make their 5th appearance in program history and their 1st since 2013. Indiana finished with a record of 12-2-4 and has their best finish in Big Ten play at 6-2-2. The Hoosiers will travel to St. Louis to face 6th seed and number 21 overall St. Louis on Friday at 8 p.m. With fall sports coming to a close and the winter season ramping up, it really has become the perfect storm, if you will, for IU sports.
Yeah, the perfect storm is right. On Sunday, we have both basketball teams, the soccer team, and volleyball. Thanks, Joe.
Of course. Thanks, Ryan. This past weekend, the IU club hockey team took down their rival and biggest test of the year in Kentucky, sweeping them 2-0 in their weekend series. Currently at 13-2, the team has come out of the gates red hot to one of their best season starts in over 15 years. But what makes this team so special?
Tuesday and Thursday nights from 9:45 to 11 p.m.
That's when the IU hockey team hits the ice for practice every week. With no varsity Big Ten program and no campus facility, puts the team at the quaint Frank Southern Ice Arena behind Bloomington South. Here, the team gears up and prepares for a 30-game regular season schedule that stretches from September to February.
And we're a lot different than other club sports. It's a big time commitment. We put in more time than I'd say a lot of the other club sports, and it's a really big deal for us. It feels special to be playing for this team.
And typically, that season can last much longer if they make it to postseason, which in recent years has become the expectation.
They, obviously made it to the Final Four, lost in a heartbreaker in overtime, and now this year, so far, they're really running through the competition and taking names along the way.
The club hockey team has made it to nationals the past 2 seasons and the Final Four just this past year, but they're still hungry for more.
None of this success means anything if it doesn't convert into success in the postseason, especially at nationals.
Off to their strongest start in over 15 years, the boys on the ice have shown no signs of slowing down.
He knows Raftis. Raftis in the back door. Castricano, he'll shoot and score!
And if you've never been to a hockey game at the Frank before, you might not realize exactly what you're missing out on.
Electric. We're always high scoring. It's more of like the old school hockey that people always think is more enjoyable. Like after the whistle blows, a little scrum or just heavy hits.
It's probably the most fun you'll have at an IU sporting event.
The team will continue to represent the university as they look to bring home a national championship. The Hoosiers' next game at the Frank will be November 10th when they play host to Xavier. In the meantime, they'll await the first rankings for the regional standings. Now, back to you, Ryan.